Hello YouTube and welcome to our 30th Unity 3D tutorial, and in this tutorial what we're going to do is, like I said last time, we're going to do some fun things. We are going to create an inventory for our game. So in this tutorial we're going to create the basic outline for it, so we'll have the box, the grids and the close button and a scroll bar. So this is the basic I'm going off, so we'll have different ones up top, we'll have all our grids and it's all the same layout. So what I did is I went and designed my own. So I got my background box. It's a bit crap, it's basic, but it'll do. So what we're going to do is stick all our grids in here, which this is going to be for each button. So we'll have loads of them all the way across. We'll have a scroll bar so we can go up and down. And then I want this close button here at the top here. So instead of dropping it all in Photoshop and then putting it in, we'd be just recreating what we've already done. So we're just going to do the couple of things, then put it all together in scripting. So this is the basic where it's going to look like, but with a scroll bar. It's not brilliant, but it'll do. And at the end, if we've got enough time, what I'm going to do is stick this inventory in as a background. You've all know this, it's Minecraft, but just to show you how much the background changes what it looks like. So if we drop straight in to Unity, I've loaded the interior level, so it's a quick and easy one to load straight away, because if we're using the other one we have to play, wait, and then yeah. So I've stuck it to the cross icon, grid, inventory window and the Minecraft inventory window in, so that's all good. And to start, all we need to do is we will not touch any GUI textures. We're going to simply create a new script and we will put this in hoods and we'll call this inventory GUI. So a GUI, I think we've explained before, is a graphical user interface, which is basically our inventory. So yeah, so create that as a script and open it up. So everything we're going to do is in here will spawn the thing, what you call it, inventory. Yeah. So we're going to use a different mix of variables. We're going to use some private variables, so we can't edit it in the inspector, because we're going to have a lot of variables for it, and then we're going to use normal ones so we can, but we're not going to use any static variables, and I'll explain in the later tutorials why we're not using them. So to start, we need a way to create our inventory to turn it on and off. So this is really simple. So what we're going to do is note it out here and put in private variables, and here I'm going to create a new var, and we're going to, in fact it's private var, yeah, and then we're going to call this inventory on equals false. So default it's false. I'm going to copy that, and in our function update what we're going to do is type if inventory on. All private means is that no other scripts or the inspector can edit it, only everything in this script can edit it. But if we were to put private var in this function start, only function start can edit it, nothing else can, unless you change the permissions of it. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Inventory on equals false, which it does. Then what we're going to do is turn it on. Simple as that. But then we're going to do else if. So if you can't do that, do this. Inventory on equals true, which it does. Then turn it off. However, we've got no way to determine what we're going to do. So I'm going to type in a new input. So if Input.getKey up, so we're not holding it down to do it, and inventory I'm just going to use I because it seems the most logical one. You can use whatever you like there. And what I'm thinking about for one tutorial as well is making all our keys an option screen so you can change what you want, but I'm still trying to figure out how to do that. I'm thinking it's just a variable, but yeah, we'll wait. So now if we were to run that, it would basically turn inventory on then off, but yeah. So we're going to note that and type in on or off. And then if you're in Notepad++, you can just minimize it, but all I'm going to do is press enter here and then minimize it, so then we've got more room so we can see. Now that we've done that, what we need to do is create a new function, and this is one what we haven't used before, called onGUI. And basically means if we've created any type of box, label, button, grid, scroll bar, anything of the GUI type, if we touch it or roll over it or anything, this will activate and call this function no matter what we do. Roll over, hover, press, unpress, anything. So this is just simply on GUI. That's it. So basically if a GUI is activated, use this function. So this is where we're going to code our inventory window to pop up. So we're going to type if inventory on equals true, which it does. So then we're going to code it here. So basically, instead of putting like the grids in one line, the buttons in one line, we'd have to close every single one of them to do it. The easiest way to do it is to create a group. So we're going to group all our items together, and then so this group will contain the buttons, the grids, the scroll bars, everything, and then as soon as we want to do it, gone, we just add the group. That's it. So it's super simple. So to start, what I'm going to just do is show you this web page, and it's called Unity 3D, and it's the documentation. I use this so many times when I'm looking at new things, but as you can see, you've got all different class functions for your GUI. So you've got windows, sliders, toolbars, toggles, you've got everything. You can use any of these if you want, but I'm just going to show you the basic box one. We're not going to use the box, but yeah, every single one of them have this big box up here, or every single one I've looked at, and basically it says static function, so that's basically writing GUI dot, and then it says the name of it, so it'll say box. So if we're using box, GUI.box, or GUI.group window, GUI.button, and then it's bracket position colon rect. So that basically means we need to create a new rectangle, so vector 2D space, so x and y, and then that'll be the position of it, and then the rect is the size of it. So the position vector 2, so that'll be 0 0, and then the rect of it will be, say we want it 30 by 30. And then it says text string, but as you can see, if we go down, every single thing before that is the same, but this says text, image, content, text, and style, and you can basically, it means you can change it whatever you like. You don't need to pay attention to these void, because you just ignore that, that's just semicolon. As you can see the example, we've got GUI box, rect, so it creates the new rect, 0 0 for the screen position, and then for the rect, screen height and width, so that's going to be as big as it. And he's put label in his that says this is a title, so he's used that one. We are going to use the image one, so we're going to use a texture as our background, so that's our group. So it's super simple. So what we're going to do is type in GUI capitals dot begin group. So that's going to start our group, and this is going to be a new rect. Now every single one we're going to use just says rect and not new rect. I don't know why it says new rect, I haven't got a clue, but my theory is that we are changing a vector 2D space, so we're trying to contain things, so it's containing a new rectangle which can store things, and the others are just a rectangle that doesn't store things. That's my only theory behind it, so I might be wrong. If you know, please comment below. I've been wondering about that. But yeah, so now what we're going to do is bracket that and close it off. And here we're going to put our position and size. So we could put like 0 0 0 0. That'll do, and it'll be, well, that's going to be tiny. Put 10, yeah. But then we won't be able to change it very easily. So if we want to change it around, so what I'm going to do is here make a new note, and we're going to call this one GUI pos / size. So in here we're going to put all the variables for the size and positions. So what we're going to do first is create a new var, and we're going to call this window position, and that's going to be equal to a new vector 2, which is basically a rectangle. So we're going to put an x and y, vector 2, and this will equal a new vector 2, so we're creating a new different one where it doesn't know, so we're not just putting numbers in. And then this will equal to, for now, 0 0. So the position will be up in the top corner of the screen. So we're going to duplicate that and then change this to size. And then this will equal to, I've already done mine and I've set mine up because it takes ages to get it right. I'm going to put mine as 360. It'll be a rough, nice size. So what we're going to do is get rid of these numbers again, and we're going to put window position .x, because you can have different ones, it doesn't need to be squared. And then we're going to put window position .y, then we're going to copy the size one again, window position .x, then window position .y. So now it'll jump to them variables to get it, and we can edit them in the inspector, which is really helpful. So now we've done that, what we need to do is now choose our texture what we want. So what we're going to do is put a comma here, and now we need a new variable which will store our window. Of course we want to edit this so it's not going to be a private. We're going to note it out called textures, I'm going to call this var shop, not shop, inventory window, and then this will equal to a texture, not a texture 2D, just a normal texture. I don't know the difference. I think a texture can be scaled differently, whereas a texture 2 is imported as what it is. And now that we've done that, we're going to put that inventory window here at the end, bracket it off so as you can see it links it, and then shut it off. Now you could say that's done, but you have to end the group when you're doing begin groups. So we've begin the group, now we need to end the group. So I'm just going to go down. It's a bit like brackets, but it doesn't have no brackets. All it is GUI.endGroup and bracket it off. That's it. Now, if we were to put anything in there, it would stay with that group. So later when we add the dragging feature, not in this tutorial, it will work. So if we go back and test it, drag this onto our character, it doesn't know strict. I've got rid of pragma strict. There we go. And no errors. There we go. So if we to test it, actually no, we've messed up. Untest. As you can see, play health, ignore that one. We haven't assigned none of our textures. So if we scroll down to my textures folder and drag our inventory window in fact we'll drag the Minecraft one in for now just to test it, and we play, if we press I, boom, there we go, we have an inventory. Now it's not got no function on it, it doesn't do anything, but we've basically begun the group. I'm going to put mine on for now. No, there we go. So now that we've done that, press I, there's my inventory window. It's got transparency, you can see through it, because if you click the texture, I've set it like that in Photoshop, so I basically decreased the opacity. So now I've done that, what we're going to do is begin work on our close button, because that's the simplest one. So in case some people don't know the I button, like, because there's a lot of gamers who prefer to use the mouse and not the keyboard, just the keyboard for moving around. They don't know all the shortcuts because you don't expect them to memorize it. So we'll give them a close button to use. So what we're going to do is in the group, inside it, so that we can do it, we're going to make a new note and call this close button, so we know what this is. And a good thing about the GUI is you can put it in an if statement and it'll still create it. So basically it says if create a button is pressed, then do this action. So it's really simple. So what we're going to do is type in if, and then we're just going to quickly close it off so we don't have to do it later. And now inside this if statement we're going to type in GUI dot same again button, because we want a button for our close button. And then as I said earlier, this is just going to be Rekt. I don't know why, but open up another one. Now we need these positions and X and Y again, so we're going to type in here. If we type this to close position and then close size. So the position I want is 312 to have it in the perfect place by 5. And the size I want is 35 by 35. So you can spend ages doing this. I actually spent nearly 3 hours just moving it all around in the inspector to get it look right. So yeah, you can spend ages doing it. But now that we've done that, we're going to stick these in here. Position.x, position.y, and then put this here. Size.x, size.y. So that's that one done. But now we need either a string or a texture for our button. So after the brackets, close it off, comma, and now we need our close icon. So we're going to duplicate this texture and just call it close icon, like so. Paste it in here, and that's our close button done, nearly. But now what we need to do is make it so when you press this, it disables the group, so it turns it off. So the simplest way to do this is to get our inventory on, make it false. That's it, we've just created a close button. Fully affectionate to be there. Perfect. Unexpected. 38, what's wrong? Bracket. There's a bracket missing. There we go. It can get very brackety, you can do it. And again, we've not assigned it. God, we're doing so good today. Character, and here we are, close icon, cross icon. I've called it cross, it's close, never mind. Right, so there we go, we have a button, as you can see it's there, press it and it disappears, and you can still turn it on and off. So how much easier is that? The way I used to do it was I created it all in Photoshop, and then I did a texture for each individual square, so I had like 100 textures for a grid, and then I'd put a script on every single one. If this texture is pressed, do this. If this is pressed, do this. And it was just a nightmare. There were so many bugs. But this is just like limits every single bug I had perfectly down. The only problem is with this is the sizes. You have to get spot on perfect, else it messes up. But if you use this group feature, you will have no problem. So now what we're going to do is, first we're going to create the scroll bar. The scroll bar is super simple. If you don't know where a scroll bar is, where have you been living basically? But if I just go down into here, you can see we've got a scroll bar. This is a scroll bar. It has arrows at the top. Ours is going to have that. It's going to have a big bar you can drag up and down, and you can click up here to drag it down. That's a scroll bar. That's all it is. Every single thing I can think of has pretty much got a scroll bar. Even Unity's probably got one somewhere. I think it has actually. If we were to expand all this up, there we go. Unity's got one, look. So everything uses scroll bar. Your browser, everything. So yeah. So what we're going to do is, it doesn't like that. We're going to make a new note and call it scroll bar, like so. So this is basically our scroll bar, and this is the start of it anyway. So what this is different compared to everything else. We don't just create one. We need to make something equal. So imagine that your inventory is chopped up into sections. So this top section's 1. Pull the scroll bar down. It goes to 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need to make an integer which represents where the scroll bar is in our inventory. So we're going to create a new private var, and we're going to call this scroll bar position, and then this will equal to a vector 2. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's thundering. Woohoo! So then this will equal to a vector 2 dot 0. So basically that means x and y is 0, 0. So as we scroll it down, the y of it will go up and up and up. And yes, you can have a horizontal one if you wanted to drag across. All you would do is where it says begin scroll view, I think you change it to horizontal scroll view. But yeah, that's it. So really simple, really easy. So before we carry on typing there, what we're going to of course need is a position and a size for it. So under here I'm just going to create one there, and we're going to call this scroll position. Scroll position. Scroll position. Scroll size. I really hope that position's spelled right, because that's going to be a nightmare if it's not. But yeah, so that top one, scroll bar position, in fact we'll change name it to Y. No. Scroll bar chop grid. Simple to remember now. So the scroll bar position is where the position will be X and Y on our grid. We want it at this side. So the ones I've chosen is 0, so and then 95, so it'll be at the X 0 and then across 95. It's super simple. And then for the size I've used, this is the X and Y. I've used 3, 5, 3 and then 2, 5, 7. So you see when we put that in, it's all perfect. Copy that because we're going to use it in a minute. So this will basically be scroll bar chop grid. Ain't that a mouthful? Equals. Then we begin writing our GUI. So our GUI dot begin scroll view. If you don't understand this, don't worry too much about it. You'll understand it once we write it more. But as you basically, yeah, you'll understand it when we finish it. And then this will be a new rect like we did normally. So rect, and then we put our position in. Scroll position dot x. Scroll position dot y, and then we need our size again. Size.x, size.y, and now usually what we do is we bracket it off, then put our string or our normal things in, but not with this one. This is different. So what we need to do for this one is we actually need to tell it what's going to store where the scroll bar is in our chopped grid, so our inventory, what part of it's in what part. So if you don't understand where it is, basically when it scrolls up and down, that's it basically. So what we're going to do is put our scroll bar chop grid here, so it'll use that, so it equals itself, so whatever the scroll bar is, it'll equal itself, but it also changes itself to be able to do it. So it works backwards on itself. Very confusing, but once it's done, it works. But for this, we need to create a new Rekt. So this is the bit where we're going to chop it up into pieces. So how much, this basically says how much we can go up and down or across. So if we were to set, so we need 4, as you know, size, position, blah, blah, blah. And then that's it. So if we were to set this X here, 420, you'll have a horizontal one. But if we were to set it here, we have a vertical one like we want. So that's that bit done. Very confusing if you don't understand it. You'll see in a minute. But same as the group, we need to end it. So it's GUI.endScrollView. You don't need to do that for everything. But if we were to try that now, you'd see it's a lot. It does not work. So we need 45. What's wrong with 45? Blah, blah, blah. 45. Rekt, scroll bar, X, Y. And then we forgot a bracket. That's of course we forgot a bracket. We always forget brackets. Wow. Now we've got new inventories we need to drag. Well, variables. So there we go. As you can see, so that's basically grid 1, grid 2, grid 3, grid 4. So that's basically it. And 420 was this bit dragged up and down. So that's how much we want to drag up and down. So I happen to know that my grids are going to be here. And then I'll drag down, it'll keep going to grids, and then up here we'll have our different backpacks. So that's basically what I wanted. If you do need to play about with the buttons to make sure you get it right, experiment with it till you get it perfect. And now we're going to create every single one of them buttons what we want in one line of code, which is super simple. So just like this, but here we need to make a variable that equals to itself. So which is super simple. So first what we're going to do is create a new private variable. So like we've done for this scroll bar chop grid, we're going to create a new private var, and this will be our grid value. So whatever button we press or hover over, this grid value will change to it. So say we've got 40 buttons, it will say go up to 39 because it starts at 0, so 0, 1, 2, 3, blah blah blah, 39. If you wanted 40 buttons, you could just put 41 buttons on, but yeah. So this will equal to a float, but it will equal -1. And the reason we're setting it as -1 is because if it equals 0, the first button will automatically always be pressed at the start, which is not what we want. So if we set it as -1, no buttons are pressed. You could set it to 41 or higher, but yeah, you could get an error for that. So I'm going to set the grid value, but then what we need is a position and size like we have. So I'm going to call this grid position and then grid size. And so this is for each individual button and then the actual size of it. So for each button I want 10 by 2, so it'll be 10 apart, well, 10 up and down from each other and then 2 apart, so 2 pixels, say 10 pixels high, so it's simple. And then for the size, this is the actual size of the whole grid, and then it automatically uses maths to make them all the same size, so all the buttons are the same size. So I'm going to use 323 by 410, so that's going to put a nice one there, and the 410, as you can see, it equals the same size as the scroll bar, but a littler. So what that'll do is it'll drag it off under our group so we can't see it, but then they're useless, you'd say, but no. Since it's in a scroll bar, as we scroll down, that bit will come up and the top bits will hide so we can see it. So it'll be all good. But now, like normal, we create a normal texture, but not this time. So what we're going to do is create a grids, and then this will equal texture like normal. But I think we've used arrays before, but I'm not sure. We're going to create an array. All an array does is store loads of different variables in one. So here, at the moment, we could have 252,000 variables in this thing, and it would stay as one variable. But you can edit each individual one. To edit it, all you basically do is say grids brackets. So say you want to edit number 1, you press, well, 2, well that's 3 actually, but yeah, because it starts from 0, 3 equals blah blah, you do what you like. So that's all that brackets mean, is an array. So we've got our grid, so we've got our texture, which is good. So we're going to type here grid, and then we'll say grid value, so that value there, so will equal to, and then we create our GUI.selection grid, which is basically creates loads of different buttons with the amount we say so. So the amount we say so will be the array size. So if we set the array to 42, it'll be 42. That's simple. So here we're going to bracket Rekt, and then we're going to put another bracket, and then it'll be equal to our grid position dot x, grid position dot y, and then we do our size dot x dot y. Super simple, and then we'll close that off. And now we need, same as the scroll bar, we need our grid value, so what's it going to look at for it. But then we need our texture. So the texture we're going to use, you can either use texture or labels, it's up to you. We've used textures. So what we're going to do is stick our grids there, grids. But now there's actually one more on the grid value, and this determines how many buttons across it goes. So if you set it to 5 buttons down, the remaining buttons will go 5 across, all the rest will go down. So it'll all be 5 by whatever. So I'm going to set it as 5, because I keep mentioning 5. So it'll be 5 buttons across, then all the rest of the 40 will be down. So we should, in theory, have, my maths is really bad, 5, 10, 15, 20. We should have 8 rows of buttons. So we've done that. That's all we're going to do for today. But we're going to test it, of course. We've got to test it. But as you can see, we'll get a new variable if we have no errors. There we go. So we've got all our positions. You can just look at these, change the X and Y, and it'll change it in-game. I'll show you that in a minute. But as you can see, we've got one called grid, which is the same one. And we open it, and it's got nothing in it. So if we want, so I already know that I want 40 buttons. So as you can see, it's got 40. And you'll be like, oh no, we have to drag every single one of them on. But no, I found a trick for that. If we type in 1 and set it here, then drag our grid icon on, then change it to what we want, it's done them all. So as you see, it goes up to 39 because it starts from 0. But so that's going to store every single texture. And what we'll do in the future is if we collect an item, we'll scan that grid and look for an empty grid icon, which is these. And if it equals it, we'll replace that with the texture of the item. That's it. So if we were to test it now, we've done all that. I'll maximize it for next time. As you can see, we have grids. You can click on them. It doesn't do anything. And we can scroll up and down. As you can see, they appear and appear. So if we click that one here, as you can see, it's highlighted. As you can see, it moves. So that's the basic inventory, what we're going to do for today. I'm just going to put that like that so you can see it now. As you can see, we have one. We can't drag it around. But if we go to, say, our closed position and drag the X across, as you can see, we can make it move wherever we want it to. As soon as you click that play button, though, it resets back to normal. So make sure you write down what you want. The scroll bar position, if we edit the X, as you can see, it moves the actual bit of it. And if we edit the Y of it, it changes where it is on the Y. So the reason mine's 95 is so it's down near the bottom, which is good. The size of it, the X, is basically where it is acrossways. So as you can see, if we move in, it takes over. So you can have more the bigger your inventory. And the Y is how much that goes down. So if we were to scroll down more, it'd take over the group, which is not what we want. But if we do want to see the button group, we just change the window size bigger on the Y-axis. So as you can see, it starts to appear. So depending on what the group is, the texture will adjust accordingly. So that's that one done. It's half an hour long. That's quite long for this tutorial. But yeah, so you've got a big tutorial here. It's got lots of new code what you've not discovered yet. So experiment with these. There are so many different ones you can use for it. There is boxes, groups, scroll views which we've used. We've only just hit the beginning of it. Ones what we'll be using in the future will be labels. We'll be using maybe text fields, text areas, don't know yet. We'll definitely be using a toolbar, which is basically, I don't know if it'll show you, no. But basically that's going to be our little inventory at the bottom of the screen. a toggle switch, which is either on or off, which can print booleans so you can actually see it, so we can have that for a switch. And there are so many different ones. We'll be definitely using drag window, so we can drag our window around, as you can see it's all there. So that's it. So thanks for watching. I know this tutorial is a bit rushed, but I had to try and get it in under a lot of time. But yeah, in the next tutorial we're going to make it so we can drag it about. We're going to stick a label in, and we might add our own fonts to it so it looks neater. So thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and see you later.